Are we good? Okay, 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order for Zoning Board of Review. Today is January 28th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nigerian?
Here.
Mr. Mostyn?
Here.
Ms. Benoit?
Here.
Mr. Macchiantonio? Gail Berlenhoff?
Here.
Mr. Gill? And Mr. Savini?
Here.
Before we continue, we should just advise that at the last town council meeting, 2 members were added to the board. Gail returns as a voting member. We're happy to have her back in her position. And then Mr. Savini was second alternate after Andre. So we welcome you. Both of you should receive notification from the clerk. I haven't received it yet, but I was at the meeting, so it didn't matter. But she's supposed to send us something that notes when your term starts, etc. For this meeting, since it's a continuation, Mr. Gill remains a voting member because we were short one. Chris DeZiel wasn't here, so you carry through until both matters are resolved as a voting member. Okay. On a sadder note, Chris DeZiel, I think notification was made to all of you. For what I believe was health-related or family issues is the way he phrased it. With a heavy heart, I think he had to decide to step down. So, and that's what opened up the spot for Gail. We thank him for his service and his dedication. He carried the seat well, just as all of you do. So we wish him well in whatever comes next for him. Item 3. Disclosure of no compensation or pension credits received by the board members. Item 4, disclosure and notice zoning board of review members shall disclose any ex parte communications regarding about any contested or material adjudicatory facts or opinions concerning the merits of any application before the board. Forgive me, I'm fighting something, so if I stumble a little bit, it's because I'm a tad under the weather. Item 5 is going to be a continuation of ZBR 2403, the application for a special use permit by Nick Balzano at 61 Reservoir Road, Lot 02, AP 021, Lot 004. This applicant is seeking a special use permit for ground-mounted solar system as an accessory use to residential under section 5.7.4. This lot is in an RA zoning district. So what we got, we had 2 items to introduce. Vivian, do you have the count? I didn't open up. I guess I could check, but do you know where we are for exhibits? I think we're at 8. Or we have 8, so I think this would be 9?
This would be
10,
10.
okay.
The trustee's deed was P9.
9, okay. So P10 is confirmation. It's from Freedom Forever, Massachusetts, LLC, South Shore branch. It's I, Catherine Ruggieri, as of 12/12/24, confirms that she mailed notices by certified mail to Town of North Smithfield Water and Lincoln Water Commission at our request or in compliance with 6.19. Her notary is here, and she also did provide to all members the green certified mail receipt with both addresses. And to clarify, she did indeed send them to the actual water commissions, not just the town hall. Sometimes in the past, they sent them to the town hall, and by the time it makes it through the maze, somebody says, well, we never heard it, but this went directly to them. So that'll be P10. P11 would be a replacement or a revision to the original site plan, which would be, so we'll just call it P7A. Why don't we do that? P7A, because it's a revision. We were provided with a larger drawing. It's dated 10/16/24. There's no revision date. It's stamped by the registered PE Electrical. His number, registration number is 14631. Jungo Chao, I believe is the way you pronounce his name. I apologize if it's not correct. And the meat of the matter is the site plan, which is PV2, sheet PV2. And we had asked to confirm the distance to the nearest body of water, whether it be the reservoir or something else. They actually gave us a stream, which would be inboard of the reservoir. And we can see there that at the three positions provided, you're at 194, basically 195 feet, 195 feet, 240 feet, and 254 and 3. So it would appear that the array will be a considerable distance from any body of water. Does the applicant have anything to add in that regard? Feel free if you want to add anything, just again, give your address and your name, or that you're a representative for.
Yeah, Nick Balzano,
Okay.
property manager for 61 Reservoir Road.
Why don't you say that again into the mic?
Nick Balzano, property manager for 61 Reservoir Road. I have nothing to add unless
Okay.
there are further questions on it.
Yep. No, I think our members good with, the notification is self-evident, and then the drawing kind of achieves, I believe, what we wanted, which is it's nowhere near the array. And then you've also got the landscape buffer, the tree line, which I think we know from the pictures was rather dense, so.
Yep.
Okay, you can take a seat if you'd like. We'll call you up if we need you. Why don't I open it up just for the record for public comment, if there is any? I don't see anyone here. The two of you are both part of the applicant. Can we have a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second? Okay, then it would make the most sense to just go right into deliberation. I made some notes in that regard. And we're using, for new members, again, if you go to your book and you go under special use permit, you'll see the criteria by which everything we do is based on the criteria and the finding of facts for either a variance or a special use permit. There's only really essentially two things we can do as the Board of Review, and in this instance, it's a special use permit. So, findings of fact, item 1, ingress and egress to property and proposed structures thereon with particular reference to fire or catastrophe. I think it's pretty clear that this is a residential address. The panel array will be close enough to the existing driveway to certainly provide adequate access to fire and police should they ever need to respond. Similar to another address that we had approved one, it was just to the left of the house. And any member can chime in or add as they feel necessary. Item 2, off-street parking and loading areas where required, with particular attention to the item above in number 1, and the economic noise, glare, or odor effects of the special use permit on adjoining properties and properties generally in the district. The last sentence is always the caveat when it comes to defining things. Clearly, I think all would agree that parking, odor, noise, and loading areas are really not applicable. We can't even, the nearest residence isn't even shown on the plan. The economic is an ambiguous term when you try to define it, but there wouldn't appear to be any economic issue or impact Again, given that the closest residence is some distance away, and the applicant clearly by situating or proposing to situate the array where it is, minimizes the visibility from anybody driving down the street. Item 3, refuse and service areas with particular reference to item 1 and 2 above. That clearly doesn't apply for this proposed use. There is no reference. Refuse, the service would probably be just like all the other solar, one truck, maybe once every other month, the parking in the driveway as if it was a oil burner technician. Item 4, utilities with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility. The plan showed a conduit feed to the utility pole nearby. And as again we note, this is a single-family solar application with, I believe, on-site batteries. I think that was shown in the drawing. And they're going to connect to the utility, but there isn't a load factor that National Grid or Eversource would say, no, our grid can't handle what you're trying to do. I think that would apply to a larger, and they need to get written approval anyway from National Grid before any permit is issued by the building official. Item 5, screening and buffering with reference to type, dimensions, and character. The array, as we know, we just proved on the drawing, on the left side, if you will, is a very tight and old line of what would appear to be pine trees. So anything that would be visible to the reservoir would be probably restricted to the dead of winter when things are at their least, but as soon as things come to bloom, I don't think you could see the house or the array. The street, it would appear, again, if members agree, that there's so little traffic on the street that no one would even, they'd probably look at the house before they would look at the array. So I don't think that that's an issue that has to be discussed or debated. Item 6, signs, if any, and proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, and compatibility and harmony with properties in the district. I always love this because there's about 15 things in one sentence that you could pull apart. But in this instance, signage and lighting, I think, is clearly defined by the ordinance, and there would be absolutely no reason for the applicant owner to do anything more to broadcast the fact that he's got solar on his property. And the other aspect, again, traffic is not relevant, glare isn't relevant. Economic effect and compatibility and harmony is, again, a subjective matter. I don't believe there's any economic effect. If there is, it's probably beneficial, not detrimental. And I think given the distance between the properties, the issue of compatibility and harmony isn't really a reason for denial. Item 7, required yards and other open space. They have plenty of land, so they would comply with whatever the ordinance requirements are through the zoning official and the building official. Item 8, general compatibility, we see that again with adjacent properties and other property in the district. Again, it's, this would appear to be a rural type residential district. No matter what it's zoned for, it's really not a busy area, I wouldn't think. And the general compatibility with adjacent properties, as noted before, isn't a significant concern because most residents, if not all, unless they're asked to see it or invited, will not even know that the array exists. And I would note, as I mentioned, that the 3 water departments in compliance with 6.19 were all notified of the hearing. To our knowledge, the zoning has not received any correspondence from any of the 3 boards. Nothing at all. So we have to assume that no response with proper notification means that there is no issue on their behalf. And as we said, we had asked the applicant when we continued the meeting to provide a very accurate, updated site plan, and it appears that they did, so. Are there any other questions or items to deliberate on? Hearing none, can we have a motion to close deliberation?
I'll
Make-
make that motion.
Okay, I'll
We give
second.
it to Mr. Marcantonio, second. Okay, and Bethany, do we have the draft proposal? It's
yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Try this
Yeah.
one. I make a motion to approve the application ZBR-24-03, a special use permit at 61 Reservoir Road for a ground-mounted solar photovoltaic system as an accessory use.
And there were no conditions, so that read well, because you're just referencing the application, so. Okay, do we have a second on the motion? Mr. Marcantonio, we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Najarian,
Yes.
Mr. Mostyn,
Yes.
Mr. Maki-Antonio, Ms. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Gill.
Oh, best of luck. Thanks so much. Good luck. Well, I have to tell you off the record, now I can say it, but when I mentioned to my daughter, she did a somersault, I said, no, she said, what? I said, no, I didn't say anything. I mean, it's been in the papers all over the place. Anybody locally knows, but good luck. Thanks so much. I couldn't believe that. Like, it was, I mean, I read the article. Yeah.
Does that mean I get free ticket?
Yeah, they were.
Yeehaw.
When I look at his age and his net worth, you know, my bank account seems trivial. Okay, sorry about that. Item 6. We'll move on to item 6, gentlemen. Continuance to February 11th. We did receive, at our request, a letter from the applicant's attorney. Yeah, I have it here somewhere. So we should introduce that into
From
evidence.
Mancini.
Yep, yep. Okay, oh, yeah. Oh, I have it here, I knew it was somewhere. Oh, thanks, Vinnie. So, can someone just double check where we were with document count? So we have a letter dated January 23rd, 2025, from Mancini and Carter, attorneys at law, addressed to the Assistant Zoning Official, Ms. Drummond, regarding the 44 Railroad Street application. Dear Vivian, as you're aware, this office represents A&M Transport regarding the application. Hearing on the appeal is currently scheduled for January 28th. The appellant respectfully requests that the hearing on the appeal be continued to the next available hearing date in order to allow the applicant's engineers time to discuss the property and application for relief with the town zoning department. What date, and so what number is that?
P13.
So that would be P13. Next available would mean 2 weeks from today, right? Is that 2/11 or 2?
It would be 2/11, but Leo is going to be on vacation that week. So I wondered, and I'm not sure, although I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I don't know that John will have all the required information by that date.
Well, my concern was the same in that we can speak freely on this because it's part of the, I had to ask the zoning department to get in touch with Mr. Mancini last week because we hadn't heard anything. They hadn't gotten anything. They had nothing to distribute. He then responded and noted that their the engineer, I believe, who wrote the report wants to sit down, or asked to sit down with the zoning official to, quote, discuss and/or to understand whatever the additional information that this board had asked for at the first meeting. But that would lead you to believe, I agree, Vivian, that there was quite a few items that we requested, and if they have not achieved or developed, answered any of them, I'd be hard-pressed to think. And actually, I'll be away the weekend prior, supposed to be landing from Denver on the 10th, but, you know, if there were a snowstorm, I would not want to miss that meeting. I think it's going to be very complex and very difficult, so, and if the zoning official is not going to be around, his input is always, especially on something as complicated as this. So for council, do we have the right to say that we would, the next available date for us that is viable would be, what would that be, the
25th.
25th?
The 25th.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the next available date for you.
yeah,
So if you don't have the officials that you need, you just go with the next
Okay.
possible date.
so are all members, why don't we have a motion to accept the continuance and note that the next available hearing date for the ZBR will be 2/25/25. Somebody want to make that?
I'll make a motion to accept CBR 2402 being February 25th, continuance to February 25th.
Second? Mr. Marcantoni on second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I believe that that does it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good.